first and foremost, Judd called me and said, "Hey, have you listened to the most recent Coffee Time episode?" I told him that I was there when it was recorded. And he said, "I know that you were talking about like your hydration packets, but it sounds like you said you've started drinking a lot and it's causing you to have bowel movement issues. Like, I've got an alcoholism problem."
Yeah. So, well, you've always had that.
And so Judd's like, "You should go back on the podcast and let people know that's not what you're talking about." So I wasn't talking about my alcoholism problem.
Did we take a week where we didn't talk about your alcoholism problem?
Well, I don't know. You know, it's just it's a real thing. It's a real thing. You know what is wild to me is my friends who don't like alcohol that much, and it is like $100 a month. You know what I mean? It's just so expensive.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to talk about this lady that I saw on Facebook who was saying she had a cattle operation and I believe had a little bit of row crop, but was trying to farm well, like was trying to do it well. And she's like, I cannot find anyone to work. I can't find high schoolers. I can't find adults. And she was talking about the immigrants who had been deported that were the only ones willing to do the work. And all the comments, any guesses as to what the comments said? They were all unified.
Where the person was complaining about not being able to find young people looking to do that. My guess is...
And she was pretty young. She was probably in her 30s.
My guess is that either youth sports or nobody knows how to do that work, and so they don't even know to apply for it.
That's not bad. No, everybody was like, "You don't pay enough, you selfish jerk." And here's what I want to say. I didn't comment because it is just never helpful to comment on social media. It's just not helpful. It's not helpful to humanity.
You comment more than I do on social media.
Yeah, and it's never helpful.
But I do think that one of the reasons we are in this, that social media has become no man's land, no sane man's land, we should say, is because of that. Because we've allowed the loudest idiot to be the only one to comment.
Well, but then also we're giving them an ear. So you either have to have really good people commenting if we're going to give an ear.
That's what I'm saying. Sections. You need to have, the ratio needs to be all the sane people need to all be commenting regularly, so that, like any other place in society, when a crazy person comes walking up to a group of people waiting for the museum to open, nobody's like, "Well, let's hear what the crazy man has to say." Yeah. Everyone's like, "Yeah." You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if we could all comment better comments, that's one. That's not. That's
the only way out of it. I'm not saying that one guy screaming.
I think there's one other way out of it. We all quit looking at the comment section.
Yeah.
The problem is that is where most of the humor is on Instagram. Man, It is bad. Yeah. It is bad. But so in this comment section, here's what really bothered me when I was thinking about it. And this is why social media is not better, because I left this whole interaction being bothered. I'm like, okay, you want this lady to pay people better. Maybe she not. I don't know what she was paying him. Maybe she wasn't paying him enough.
It wasn't in the video?
Let's say it's 50%. No. Let's say it's 50%. Yeah, they just assumed this lady didn't pay him. Let's say it's 50% more. If everybody's wages went up 50% more, everything costs 50% more. That's just how it is. And so, but then the same people are complaining about the grocery bill, right? Well, it's going to go higher if you want good practices and you want to be paying people really well. My point is not that we shouldn't pay people well. My point is that it just doesn't work to complain, because on one side or the other, you're going to have it and you're going to be ready to complain. And so the comment section on Facebook is, unless people are in the Native Habitat Managers Facebook group and you're answering questions about practices, that's actually really helpful. I really like those pages. Yeah. I think people are very helpful on those. There's some backyard garden pages, but unless you're answering questions of people asking for genuine information, comment section's for losers, man. It's just for losers. And every time I comment, I feel like a loser.
Yeah. I'm there with you. I wonder if sometimes you realize, like, we have these huge societal ailments, right? We all know what they are. And there are a few number of people who hold the exact keys for the lock to unlock the solution to that problem. Imagine if Meta just said, you know what, comment feature gone.
Oh yeah,
from all posts, and instead you just had these like blurbs that now the misinformation could maybe spiral out of control at that point because there's the comments keep people's posts, to am I going to get abused for this?
Yeah, but like that, what's the difference in that in a newspaper?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, no one could comment. I really like, what is it, Quora, the upvote and downvote? That's clever.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, just where you can't. That's one thing I like to do in the comments is when I see somebody make a good point, I try to like that comment.
Interesting, yeah.
Because now nobody can. I mean, yeah, you can see I liked it, but what are you going to do? I saw you like that guy. Okay, someone's got a screen time problem here.
And it's us. If you saw our messaging boards, for lack of a better term, at 9:30 at night, you would go, "That Oxy team, they need to chill out."
Yeah.
They're demented.
We're literally all laying in bed with our wives, just sending stuff to each other, and I'll be laughing as hard as I can, and my wife's like, "Oh, show me," and then I'll show her, and it's just not funny at all.
Really.
She's like, "Oh."
You have to have good humor to know the style of reel that matches the humor of your friend.
Yeah.
To send them that style. I don't send all fun. The reels that I find funny, I don't send them all to the same people.
No, you'd go to jail. And then I saw one reel the other day that was like, they didn't tell me when I was an adult I'd also have homework, and he sits down on the toilet and he opens and it's like 48 unread Instagram reels that friends have sent him.
Yeah.
It's becoming like a thing.
It does.
I get around to it like every couple of weeks at this point.
Same.
But man, cool. Riley, I know you are in the comment section a lot. Do you even have a Facebook?
I have a Facebook, but
I'm not his Facebook friend. I can't find him.
It's
In fact, you told me once you saw he had a Facebook.
Yeah, it's delisted. I delisted my Facebook. I just use it for Marketplace. Wow. So if I contact you,
I hate when I have to copy a Facebook link and send it in a text message. I hate that.
Yep.
And I have to do that to you every time I find a zero-turn mower.
Every time I find a zero-turn mower or something Kent wants, I copy him a Facebook link and I send it in a text message.
Facebook did something devious about a year ago.
You need to add me on Facebook, Riley.
They made it so that you can get to Facebook from the Messenger app. So I didn't have Facebook because, to be honest, I actually struggle with scrolling on Facebook the most, which is a weird thing to think about because they have the worst algorithm. But I struggle with scroll on there the most. And
it's Marketplace for me, man.
Well, and so I found like 2 or 3 years ago, I found, if someone sends me a reel in Messenger, I could click on that reel and then be on Facebook from that reel. Well, Facebook realized that was going on a bunch. And so they just added a Facebook button on Messenger that I can just click. And so in your Messenger app, you can go to Facebook, and it's a little janky. It's not like all the way there, but I might as well just download the app at this point. Like just a useless. I'm being altruistic, pretending not to be on Facebook, and I'm just there all the time.
Yep. Yeah, your brain finds those workarounds. You can bury it in some app grouping in the back fifth page of your apps, and you'll go right there by muscle memory.
Dude, look, if Facebook was a physical thing and someone threw it in the dumpster or Instagram or whatever, we'd all be in the dumpster looking like addicts. You know what I mean? We would. And we'd justify it. We'd be like, well, I got to check.
There's a lot of value here.
Yeah. Yeah. And we would lose self-respect to the point where we're just like, get away from me, I'm looking for my Facebook, you know?
Just turned into Facebook Gollum there.
Well, it's kind of what it feels like when you're hunched over on the toilet. You know?
Okay, but don't you think, I think humans, a lot of times we view addiction, and I referenced this earlier, with my whole keys to solving the problem or whatever. If we took away the things that we are so easily captivated by and addicted to, we would just find something else. You know what I mean?
Another next shiny object, the next thing.
It would be, there'd be another thing that we would really be into.
Oh, yeah. Humans, but there's this like so much screen time. We're ignoring our kids. Psh, we've been ignoring our kids for millennia.
Oh, yeah.
We've been ignoring kids since the hoop and stick became popular. Okay.
Yep.
Man, we need to go back to when we gave kids a lot more attention. And if you flash back to then, it's because you're like, get out in the field, son.
Yeah.
We need to get to work today.
It was a different time.
Oh, man. Well, we should get started. Coffee Time Wednesdays with the Prairie Farm Podcast.
Can't hit us with the jingle.
A lot of companies talk about conservation, but I want to tell you about a company that actually puts their money where their mouth is. birdhuntersupply.com is a great company. I know the owner, Joe. He's a great dude. We've had the privilege of working with him, and let's just say he really puts his money where his mouth is. A large percentage of his profits from Bird Hunter Supply go to a conservation organization of your choice at checkout. So your purchase actually puts money towards conservation, and it's not just a roundup. It's not just asking you to donate on top of your purchase. This is included with your purchase. This man is running his very own small business version of Pittman Robertson, except without all the government stuff. I'm a big fan of that. So whether you're buying hunting apparel, decoys, dog training gear, you are actually going to be giving back to conservation. That is my friend Joe at birdhuntersupply.com. We love that company. We love what they have going on. Oh, and they do a really great job with their website. Makes it very easy. birdhuntersupply.com. Welcome back to the Prairie Farm Podcast, Coffee Time Wednesday. I'm your favorite host, Nicholas Lirio, with your favorite co-host, Ken Boucher.
Hello, hello.
And your favorite co-host to the coast, Riley Rosendahl.
Howdy, howdy.
The co-host today will be bringing the gospel message as he sent many messages to me about what we should be talking about today.
Really, I did not have that on my docket to preach the gospel today.
Could you? Like, the Bible says, have your faith ready. Could you just like stand up and give it eloquently?
God, man, Christ response.
Yeah.
So who is God? Who are we as mankind, human beings? Who is Christ? What did he do? And what is our responsibility to respond to what Christ has done? Consider
me saved, dude. That was compelling.
Yeah. If somebody does seriously, want to grill me over that, I'd talk about it with them sometime.
Dude, I might have told this story on the pod. I was in the Philippines once, and I was supposed to talk.
All of your stories that start with being in the Philippines are not always like good for listening ears. the one you told on Travis's podcast was horrifying.
That was good. Go listen to that on the flush. Literally the flush.
Yeah, it involves someone being coated, some innocent person being coated in diarrhea.
That was in Malaysia. It wasn't in the Philippines.
Oh.
So I was in the Philippines.
Oh, my mistake. That makes it way different.
Okay. So,
thank goodness this is in the Philippines or it would actually suck.
The other place they make our t-shirts. I'm from there, or I am allowed to say that, I guess. I was in the Philippines, and I was supposed to give like a 20-minute talk at this church. And then the lady who I was with, who was kind of in charge, the morning of was like, hey, could you
you
kind of stretch it to like 35 minutes? Yeah, I could add a couple more stories, or I don't know, like jokes at the beginning, I don't know. I could do that. And the worship is ending, and I'm about to stand up to go to the front of the room to give my now 20-minute stretch to 35-minute. And the lady grabbed me by the arm, and she went, hey, could you stretch it to an hour and a half? Could you be up there for an hour and a half? Like, I think I told her, like, I will do my best. And then I walked up on stage, and I did those poor Filipino people. I rambled for an hour and a half.
For a feature-length movie.
You need to teach that lady about quality, not quantity.
And I remember thinking, okay, so I guess this was just more.
All right, I'm going to be honest. I go to church regularly. Who wants church to be longer? Nobody. There is nobody who honestly wants church to go longer. Nobody does.
I do.
Whatever.
In college we had like 4-hour services, and then I moved back to Iowa.
Working his way to heaven. God, man, Christ response.
There's a deep and genuine love, Ken. You'll understand one day. And I came back to Iowa. It was like an hour, 15 minutes, and it's great, and I love it. And sometimes I'm like, and my wife and I always the last people to leave the building. Our kids are gonna hate us, just want to go home and eat.
No. You're the type of person who has those conversations where the kid looks and just wants to escape. Those conversations you have with people with kids, and they're just like looking at the wall, waiting for it to end.
Yeah,
you're talking about your dry cleaning from last week.
Yeah, when you were a little church boy, Riley, how often did you want church to be longer?
If you can save somebody's soul in 20 minutes and you offer them an hour and a half, you're going to be hard pressed to find somebody who's going to say, yeah, you know what? Extra hour and 10 minutes, like sign up for that.
The pastor of smaller, they're just lonely.
What gets you looking at the clock in a church service? Yeah.
This is terrible. Membership Sundays. No bueno for the soul.
So the topic gets you looking at if it's a boring.
No, the sermon I engage in. I just like them. And
what's a membership Sunday? What does that
membership mean? is not when people are like pronouncing I'm new to faith. That's like exciting to me. It's when people go, well, I was at a different church, but now I go to this church, so I'm a member of this church, and they give their little spiel about why they're a member of this church. And I'm like,
and Nick's like, oh, you are chronically unhappy. You are chronically hard to please.
And it's just like long. It's just long. Wow. And it's like, and I get it. I think formalities matter. I do. But it's long.
For me, it's if I get sleepy. Because when I get sleepy, as you know, there's no stopping these eyes from closing.
Does your pastor have a deep voice?
No, I don't. Honestly, I don't really get sleepy with my current pastor.
Okay.
But other pastors that I've had, absolutely.
Dude, we were in Illinois, Kent, Judd, and I, and we were like, okay, well, we're going to head back to Iowa. We should listen to a podcast. And so what we tried to Dan Carlin.
I don't remember.
And we were tired as could be.
It is a history podcast.
Oh, but that's Dan Carlin, right?
Dan
Riley?
Carlin's hardcore history.
Yeah, I knew Riley
podcast. Yeah, I've listened to him.
Holy.
They're heavy.
Oh man, yeah. I got like 12 minutes in.
I think we all just were like, yeah, this ain't gonna do it.
And Riley was just frothing at the mouth.
Those are good podcasts. 4.5 hours. Buckle up, kids. It's riveting.
You know what we do sometimes when we're all together? We ask, what do you think Riley's doing right now? If it's after work hours, I always picture you in like one lamp on in the room, kind of the Scrooge McDuck thing, right?
Yeah.
So mostly dark room. And I picture you sitting at a desktop computer playing Flight Simulator.
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that because my wife and I moved to this house after we got married, and we lived there for about 5 years. And there was a lady lived around the area, but then moved away. And she drove by our house, and she asked my mom where we lived. And my mom told her, and she's like, oh, I thought that house was abandoned. Every time I drive by, there's no lights on and all the shades are shut.
Dude, I was describing you to one of my friends recently, and every detail I added, their eyes got like more narrow, like, what?
He pays his bills?
Well, no, it was like, so you start off like, oh, he grew up as a farm kid. I don't think he liked farming that much when he was a kid, but then he started ranching. And he loves video games and very organized, likes to sit down and do paperwork, but also really likes anime.
Although I think I broke through with Riley on anime. I sent enough of those anime people reels to the group.
He broke me.
He canceled his subscription.
No, he goes in and out. It's just he's just cheap enough that if there's no good shows on a service, why would he keep paying?
We all have to grow up at some time, buddy.
Oh man, we should get started. You should talk about what you're supposed to talk about.
Yep. So Riley and I each have a topic. Mm-hmm. Some interesting news here lately. It's another day that ends in day. Interesting news every day, really. But there's been so much pertaining to the public land side of conservation over basically since the Trump administration entered office, right? And I've said it before, the track record so far, and to be honest with you, going into it, I was very afraid of this, especially when I heard that Doug Burgum would be the Secretary of the Interior, because one of his he actually ran for president early on for the 2024 election, and his points that he was running on was we need to open up more resource extraction, essentially, and he's from North Dakota, if I remember correctly, which is a big resource extraction state with a lot of public land. And so that was one of my biggest fears, and it has proven to be a legitimate fear. And so I do not trust anything to do with conservation or environmental health. We've seen the EPA drastically pulled back. We've seen pesticides that were previously regulated out of use put back into use. We've seen the boundary water mining deal that was basically halted for 20 years be opened up now to, at least from the federal side. I believe there is some hope that Minnesota as a state can, mitigate some of what they're able to, or, block some of what they're able to do with that. So we've seen all these things, right? There's been some rocks thrown at the Endangered Species Act. And so this topic ties in with that, but I want it to be explained that is where I see this topic, which is the Trump administration has now sent out a memo to National Park Services that a handful of National Park Service lands will be open to hunting. And in general, you can assume that if something is controlled by the National Park Service, it is not open to hunting previously, before this note went out, or order, I guess, whatever you want to call it. That's not always true. There are some limited examples of national park land that have been available to be hunted under very strict, super regulated guidelines. But according to this is an article that came from Outside Magazine. I chose this resource because I figured it was more towards the middle than a lot of other people writing on it. And it's by Owen Clark. It just came out a couple days ago, May 10th. And the idea is that national park lands, and it includes in that wildlife refuges. So an example of a wildlife refuge here in Iowa would be like I think it's called the Port Louisa National Wildlife Refuge on the Mississippi River, down south of Muscatine area. Also national monuments. Example of that here in Iowa would be Nick is totally zoned out right now.
No, I'm not zoned out at all. I have a bunch of follow-up questions, but I'm trying to let you.
So a national monument would be why can't I think of the name of it? The burial mounds up in
Effigy
Mounds. Thank you.
Yeah.
In northeast Iowa, up by Harper's Ferry, I believe is the closest city named for that. So areas like similar to that, not those exact areas, but just to kind of give you an idea of when they say national park land. And so part of me, I'm an avid hunter. Hopefully you understand that by now if you're listening to this podcast. In fact, for years I hosted another hunting podcast. And I've hunted in a lot of different states. I've hunted many different species of wildlife, and I've even hunted on land that borders national monuments, borders national parks. Seems like there was no, that was a national monument as well. So I've been in these scenarios, right? I've seen how this plays out, and so part of me says, "Woohoo!" Right? Like a knee-jerk reaction is, "Wow, more land to hunt." But let's go back to how I started this conversation. I do not trust this administration when it comes to issues of public land conservation, wildlife management, things like that. And so the surface level debating that's going on this is, well, now it's not going to be safe for visitors to go to these parks because there's hunting going on. In fact, one comment in here was, we aren't even sure that hunting's not going to be taking place because one of the areas that they're opening up is the Cape Cod National Seashore in Mass. Someone commented, we don't even know that people aren't going to be hunting during the summer busy beach going time. It's like, listen to what you just said. How much hunting goes? How many hunting seasons are open in July, right? Yeah. And maybe you can hunt like here in Iowa, you can hunt raccoons and coyotes year round or something like that. So you might have a few people that are just intentionally trying to be a jerk, and those people make hunting worse for everybody. I'll be the first to say that. But that's not going to really be an issue, right? They're not going to have mass human casualty events because people are sending stray rounds through the walking trails and stuff like that, right? So I don't really find that argument, those types of arguments and all of this. I mean, yeah, those are serious considerations. Don't have people hunting where it's not safe for other people to be, of course. And our public lands, one of the best things about them that I think a lot of hunters forget is that they are multiple use properties. One time I was elk hunting and there were people that were skydiving right above me. There was another guy that went flying by on one of those stupid little ultralight airplane deals, where it's like a lawnmower with wings, Yeah. And so, but as I was watching that, it's like, I can't get mad about this. That lawnmower airplane dude has every bit much of a right to this area as I do, because it's part of what makes America a wonderful place, right? Is we have these vast public areas. So that being said, though, we have to have those housekeeping rules that make it so that everyone can enjoy safely and responsibly and to the fullest of what they are owed as a public land owner, right? Being an American. To me, the scariest part of all of this is that the hunting community especially, now you could throw other outdoor enthusiasts in that, backpackers, bird watchers, anglers even, but especially hunters. And I would even separate hunters from anglers on this too. A lot of times those things get linked together, but hunters specifically, when you look at the public land sell-off that was pushed last year by Mike Lee and whoever the dude was from, I think it was Nevada. Yeah, Nevada. It was hunters that raised the loudest cry on that, right? And historically, hunters are a almost shoe-in conservative voter bloc, right? And this administration has not made better friends with hunters over the last year and a half that they've been in office, right? The hunting community has seen huge things like the Boundary Waters thing is probably the most recent one. The fact that they've had to continue to rally together to push back against public land sale. They've seen more extraction leases taking place. There's been these constant fires that directly tie to them, right? And so to me, this is viewed as a way to pacify one of the most formidable opponents to the overall goal of especially Doug Burgum, which is, look, we're taking this stuff away from you over here, but we're giving you this. And just like when if somebody like really screws you in a deal or something, that somebody who you're going to have continued relationship with afterwards, if that relationship is ever going to be restored, they just got to say, hey, I'm sorry I was wrong. Please forgive me in some way, shape, or form, right?
Instead of just like baking you cookies.
Yes.
And not
well, what do
admit
dysfunctional people do? They get nicey nice.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
They
that's
get
true.
real nicey nice. They don't ever tell you sorry. They'll never tell you that, hey, I was wrong here. They're just going to be extra nice to you to cover it. And so to me, it's just it just represents this dysfunctional relationship.
Well, let's imagine the administration was actually really good for conservation.
Yeah.
So in a vacuum, is this decision good or bad? Because I totally agree with you. There's probably some other play they're trying to shoot for.
So I'm going to help answer that. Now, I haven't hunted all, national park, near all national park lands and stuff, but I have two areas. And it was interesting. One place was in Nebraska, and we would have to drive through this unhuntable federal land every morning to get to our different spots where we were going to be, where we were allowed to hunt. And you would see more deer. 10 times more deer on that federal land that we did not have access to. Chasing around, it was this late rut, big bucks. One buck we called Frank the Tank. You'd see him every day. Just this big 9
Knew
point.
exactly where he could and couldn't go.
Yep, exactly where he couldn't go. And part of hunting is, yes, you want to have recreational opportunity, lifestyle opportunity for your constituents. That is part of it. But another part of it should be, as a part of our North American model of wildlife management, that we use hunting as a tool to maintain healthy populations. Now, are the deer in that particular piece of federal land at a healthy population? Might be. Sure is a whole heck of a lot higher than the tens of thousands of acres of prairie all around them. Now that prairie is heavily grazed by cattle, but point being that there's a lot of habitat around and you don't see near the deer density as what you see in those federal acres. So I suspect that those numbers are probably inflated beyond what healthy carrying capacity is for there, but they're able to get away with it because during the non-hunting season they can go off there and hang out in the so hunting could be used as a tool in that place. Probably another place, I was hunting elk. It was interesting. There was a national park, and I want to say there was a national monument, and there was a restricted access piece of public land where you could go on at a certain time of the day and had to be off by a certain time of the day. And then we hunted in some BLM land and some national forest land in that general area. And the elk, it was interesting. The elk in that area knew the schedule. Like the piece of public that had the limited access for the certain hours, those elk, they like set their watch to it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they knew that they could get over onto either that national monument land or that national park land and be totally safe, right? Nobody can get to them anytime. And so you could see elk working the pattern of like the physical barriers of all these different pieces of land. And would it be helpful to allow hunters to cross some of those barriers to go and scatter the elk into a more normal, natural pattern of movement and behavior? Might be.
Yeah.
Might be, right? Certainly wasn't any less safe for someone to be hunting right there as opposed to 50 yards in the other direction.
So you're saying a person in a white van pulled up to you and said, I got Costco hot dog. And you said, all right, but I'm watching you. Seems like there's something else going on here.
I would say, I mean, I wouldn't be to the point of where if this does end up happening and sticking and opening up a lot of access, I'm not to the point where out of principle, no, I refuse to partake. But I do think that people should keep their eyes open because I think it is just a way to pacify a lot of negative, building animosity between two groups that normally were friends, right? Yeah. And also a way to address that animosity. But the reason for that isn't because they want to be friends again. It's because they want to be able to take something from you. And it's easier to rob somebody when they're happy with you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's easier to embezzle money than it is to rob a bank, right? Yeah. Because when people are trusted, like you said, they can get away with something. The Rita Crundwell story, by the way.
Yeah. Great documentary. I need to listen. I need to listen. But maybe we can listen tomorrow on our way to Wisconsin.
But that's just that is my, I guess, how I'm seeing through it. I don't trust this administration when it comes to public land, and I won't for the remainder of. They could do 100 good things, and I will not trust them because the pattern for the last 18 months has clearly shown that greed and squeezing every last drop out of our resources is the true motivation. And so I view it as nicey nice and not as this is a good, makes sense, positive. I think there is a lot of sense that can be made in it. I do. I think that there are examples of national park land that it would make sense to open to hunting. I also fear, though, too, hunters are a small minority of our country. Roughly 4% of Americans hunt. And I would imagine probably roughly 4% of Americans are 100% anti-hunting. They want hunting to be made illegal.
Oh, yeah.
And so that leaves you with, what is that? 92% of Americans that are kind of like, man, hunting's okay. But that's going to get less and less if hunters act like tools, if stuff like this is made allowed and it's an in-your-face kind of thing, and it's or if something, some of those issues that I kind of downplayed earlier, if they do start to happen, or just if the hunter's problem gets passed on to the bird watcher's problem.
I'm not a 4D chess conspiracy theory believer, when you're like, well, that was a dumb move that politician just made. No, dude, they got 4D chess going on. They got I don't think that's what's going on. But
no, through history, there are very few plotters. You know what I mean? Most people just react.
You know who plotted real cleverly? John F. Lacey.
Yeah.
Dude. Yep. And it would be interesting because I don't think this is what's going on, but it'd be an interesting 4D chess move to get hunters in a position to interact with more of the public in a negative interaction so that in 12 years you could pass something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think that's what's going on because government officials don't seem to see past
and it's
their
not
term. But
it's interesting. I would not expect this administration to have anti-hunting sentiments, right? Like hunting is immoral, that kind of anti-hunting. However, selling off public land, increasing extraction, degrading the Boundary Waters area, those are like anti-hunting moves. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I would not expect like a 4D chess type move to be coming from this administration in the sense of we want hunting to go away. I wouldn't expect that, and that's who is pushing this. Now, if it was coming from the left side of politics, where there are a lot of anti-hunting advocates in in leftist politics, then yeah, I would possibly, you could maybe get me to listen for a few seconds more on that, but
before you get out of that comment section of the
yeah,
Facebook.
right, but yeah, I don't trust.
Yeah,
I don't trust that.
What do you think about it,
Just
Riley?
a straight win.
I think that, like most things that the government does, this will have unintended consequences that will be positive in one spot and negative in another. You know, it's not going to be targeted the way that they're talking about this. In my mind, it's not going to be, oh well, we have a problem with EHD and near this national park. If we get more hunting going on, maybe we can. This is a sweeping change, and I don't think, frankly, that the government doesn't care when 40% of people don't like them.
Yeah.
Why would they care if 4% of hunters do or don't want this? There's something that they're doing. They've decided it's a good choice, and they're going to do it, and they're going to try and whether it be the boundary waters or they're going to chart a course and try and set it.
Well, and I mean, one thing that hunters have going for them is they have a multiple of 4% of the wealth in the United States. Because think of like the percentage of hunters that are landowners or hunting can be expensive. So just to be in it,
there's a lot of resources. That's a great point.
Some broke hunters, but
no, that's a fair point. And
what I mean by that is,
and hunters have proven
they have weight in Washington,
right? Hunters have proven they can throw their weight around and get policy change. However, to Riley's point, the boundary waters, those same groups that literally got. I mean, if I remember correctly, Mike Lee tweeted out like, "Hey, hunters, I hear you. I'm pulling this out of the big beautiful bill." But that didn't work for the boundary waters, right? It's the same exact groups were sending the emails, were beating down the door, and they said, we're still going to do it.
Man, hunters, we need to be better entrepreneurs. We're getting beat up by Chilean mining companies. At Hoxie Native Seeds, our mission is to provide native seed and education for landowners and land managers that care about their ground. So the education, we're doing that through the podcast and interviewing experts and the stuff we put out through our website. But the native seed that we provide, whether we grew it or we work with other producers that grew it, we are here to provide that for you. It's what keeps the lights on for us, and it's what we love to do. Most of our seeds grown right here on our farm, hoxieNativeSeeds.com. Oh, and if you need a little help with consultation, not sure what to put on your ground, we would be happy to help you with that as well. Give us a call, hoxieNativeSeeds.com. Interesting. Well, I think, Riley, did you have something as well?
Yeah, I got kind of a follow-up. It was talked about in a previous podcast, but I'm just revisiting it. I have two articles, both pretty brief because it's kind of an open and shut deal, but one from the Montana Farm Bureau Federation and one from Montana Public Radio. The topic surrounding the Bureau of Land Management canceling bison grazing permits. American Prairie grazing permits. We talked about it briefly when it hit the news, but it has officially gone through. Those grazing leases have been actually canceled by BLM. And
who made that decision? Because that's not voted on, is it? That's like USDA or something.
I think Burgum,
Department of the Interior.
It doesn't list like Doug Burgum did this thing. This is actually, it was the BLM overturning, because these leases were granted in 2022. So this is relatively new in the scheme of things. In 2022, the administration at the time allowed these leases to go through for American Prairie, and that decision, to my understanding, was appealed and then was overturned. So it's been pushed, like the Montana Farm Bureau actually.
But it is the Department of the Interior who had the final say, right? It wasn't a congressional hearing.
Yeah, I didn't see any. I guess you'd call that outside.
Yeah, from what I've understood, this was all administratively done through the Department of the Interior.
Okay.
the Montana Farm Bureau said basically that they triumphed the proposed decision to remand American Prairie Reserve's grazing leases. In its verdict yesterday, the Bureau of Land Management reversed a 2022 decision that allowed bison to graze on 7 federal land allotments leased by American Prairie.
Well, so what's the argument?
The argument was that these animals, these wild bison, were being used as wildlife, not as... Because the Taylor Grazing Act, which is what these allotments were under, is for an economic gain or an economic production. So the argument being these allotments were previously grazed by ranchers who were putting in economic input in the area. And per the Taylor Grazing Act, they have to generate a economic impact, basically. And American Prairie was the decision was basically that American Prairie was having these bison wild as wildlife and not as a, I guess you would call it like a domesticated livestock operation.
Interesting.
So
do you think because there is some poor sentiment towards them from landowners? Do you think, or ranchers out in the area? Do you think they banded together to yell to their representatives about it?
Yeah. There's a lot of pressure around American Prairie Reserve from ranchers, right or wrong. Right, I can see both sides where you've got ranchers who have lived in an area with their families on these operations and depended on allotments, because ranching in the West is not like, oh, I'll go buy 300 acres and put cows on it. It's like there are these big allotments. They have the chance to lease, and if you lose that lease, you may have to sell a 30-year cattle herd.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing about it is that I don't understand is once you have the lease, it's your lease to lose, right? So so it's not like, oh, I hope we bid it high enough each year. No, you hang on to it as long. I mean, there's guys that have held leases for, I think, generations. Like it's on to the grandson who's still holding the same public land grazing lease that his grandfather had.
Wow, that is a wild wealth grab.
And so to me, if the lease became available, it wasn't because somebody, like, you just pulled the rug on me. Where do I put my cows now? It was because they didn't have cows to put there, and American Prairie. That's how I understand it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm off base here, but that is how I understand it. Also, I think it's important to note that through listening to other interviews with American Prairie individuals, and yes, I'm biased. I think they should have their bison there. Don't try and read between the lines. I'll tell you.
There's an open book here.
Yeah, they do just as much, if not more, health monitoring of those bison that a cattleman would do for his cows.
So, but they don't round them up and sell any of them. Is basically where the issue
I don't know.
is?
Yeah, I don't know if they sell any. They do allow people to hunt them, so you can apply for tags to hunt them, and there's an expense there.
Yeah.
I think what it comes down to is splitting hairs. There was a lot of money spent in getting to this point where this decision was appealed. I think that what it comes down to ultimately, though, is they found a workaround to get this lease revoked. Because the argument could be made that these animals that are not being managed as livestock very well could bring in more money through tourism than the tax being paid on them being sold as livestock.
Right.
So I think that there is a gray line that we're kind of wandering, where it was pulled through the Taylor Grazing Act, but the argument could be made that their economic impact could be the same, if not greater.
Yeah, the way I see it is if I was in a feud with my neighbor for whatever reasons, right? And I searched the homeowners association ordinances, and you cannot have a flagpole that is this number of feet from this thing and isn't this tall, and I turned them in. And that's kind of how I view it, right? Like, they don't like American Prairie, and because of they feel that it attacks ranching culture, and let's be honest, ranching culture, just like all ag culture, is fragile right now and has been for quite some time, right? And so I understand that. As a farmer, I understand that. As a kid who grew up wanting to farm and couldn't farm because farming culture is all but dead in this area, I understand that. But the way to make myself feel better isn't to go and say, well, you can't do what you're doing instead. Yeah. With what I want to be doing. I don't think anybody wins in that case.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, it's just a case of the right people to get what you want.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
I understand. I actually understand on a broad scope why the farmers would be upset, because it's like they're having to compete against ginormous donations. Have you ever looked at
that is a legitimate I think that is a legitimate complaint.
Yeah, and so there's pros and cons on each side. Have you guys ever looked at the list of board of directors for the American Prairie?
It's impressive.
It is some of the biggest names in the United States economy.
Deep pockets.
Yep. A listener emailed me and is like, you should look at this list. So, and I don't think it's like a big conspiracy. I think it's just like American Prairie was really good at getting to these companies and saying, hey, you want to have a good ecological impact with your money? Yeah. Like, we can help make that happen. Yeah. And instead of a park, it's like, we're going after 1 million acres, and you can help us do it. But so if you pull back and you look at it from that point of view for the farmers, I understand. But if you pull back even further and you look at it from a humanity perspective of like, well, hey, we kind of like, we have nowhere really left for the bison except a little bit in Yellowstone. It'd be really nice to like do that as a nation. But the farmers in the area are the ones taking the biggest L, right? Yeah. We get the benefits. We have these giant ecological areas where we could go and visit. And I'm for that. I'd want that to be able to be the case. But I also understand the farmers fighting tooth and nail. They're like, yeah, but you're ruining my world. It's like, what's that movie, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where they're like, so I don't know if you guys know, the aliens show up. We filed about 1,000 years ago. We helped you build some pyramids and everything, and we let you know that we were going to build a highway, intergalactic highway system through your planet, and gave you plenty of time to appeal. Since you didn't appeal, we're blowing up your planet today, and so good for the galaxy, bad for Earth, you know. Yeah. And so I understand the farmers fighting for that. But
I would have sympathy for sure for a rancher who, let's say, is building his way up and or her way up, and they show up to the land auction, right? And they own land in those counties or wherever American Prairie is at, and they want to expand their ranch in the same direction that American Prairie does, and it makes sense for them to do so. And they show up with fair market value, but there will always be $1 more coming from because the VP of
Coca-Cola is,
right.
Yeah.
And I can understand how people would maybe even view that as greenwashing, the whole project. But even if it is, what an incredible gift, ecological gift to the Great Plains to have American Prairie there.
Yeah.
And as we talk about, I don't know, probably in hundreds of episodes now, that the prairie needs all members for it to be a healthy prairie.
Yes.
And bison perhaps are the greatest keystone species.
Prairie was a
prairie
ecosystem biome. It wasn't a set of plants. Right. It was like you don't have a prairie if you don't have prairies on it.
Right. And so and cows in many cases can be better than nothing, but they are not a sub for bison.
Episode 53 and 54 maybe
with Bob Jackson.
Yeah. Maybe our best episodes we've ever done.
Yeah.
I mean, really, really good episodes. Highly recommend going back and listening to those. We had to bleep some stuff out, but it was good.
And so to me, hey, we might have to. Never mind. I was gonna say we might not have to bleep that out anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Some things have happened since then. But to me, it's a loss for the prairie, and I'm confident though that because they are a talented team, we've had the privilege of meeting Sean, who I believe is still on the board of directors there.
I think so. He's definitely not in the driver's
He's
seat.
not. He's not the CEO anymore,
Nope.
and he was very clear about that, which I thought was cool.
Yeah,
he's very supportive of the new CEO, Allison something. I believe
Allison Fox.
Yeah, Allison Fox.
Yeah, he did an unreal job getting that up and off the ground. I mean, unreal.
Yeah. So to me, I personally weighing in on it, I view it as a net negative for conservation, for a great project that's being done.
And I think it's important to note too that this can still be appealed too.
Oh, they can
I think there's still. I think that there's still an appeal ability that they can work with. So I don't think this is the end of the road for it. I think it's just kind of like the Boundary Waters. This is disappointing outcome in a longer kind of battle.
Recently I saw a Facebook ad for one of the candidates for governor, and they were basically like, hey, data centers, get out of here. And they had the phrase, unless you have an offer we can't refuse. Right? And I think maybe for the ranchers who are there, who are taking the EL,
we got to be careful talking about data centers. Those have not been popular reels.
No, people do not like us talking about data centers.
And for the record, we are not being paid by a data center.
Yeah, and we're not even particularly
pro data center. No,
we just feel like if someone's going around handing out money, we should.
At what point in history have we been able to tell an entire industry, no, go away?
Happened
because we don't
with oil, and then it happened with railroads, and then it happened with cars, and then it happened with internet.
So you may as well force them to make a decision that is favorable for us if they're going to make the decision.
I do think we as a people could rise up and fight them off for a period of time.
Yeah, you might delay it. Right?
The only way you absolutely beat data centers is you delete all your social media and convince all your friends to do it. That's your only chance.
Yeah.
And if we're not willing to do that as a society,
and stop using AI to where the AI economy ceases to exist.
Yep. And that would have huge negative ramifications, which I think maybe would be better for humans. But unless we're willing to do that, I don't know. I'm not saying they're gonna park in Iowa or Wisconsin, or I think our next most listened state is Illinois. I'm not saying they're going to be there, but they will be somewhere, right? And so if they're willing to shake $1 billion in our face,
squeeze them for every last drop. If they're gonna take up our land and our water, make them pay.
Look, you keep trying to sell me these same fake Temu items on Facebook. You owe me clean water. Oh, man. All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for listening. We really, really appreciate you all. And I'm sure there's an announcement I'm forgetting. But for now, we'll talk to you.
Oh, yeah. One announcement. Get on the forum.
Get on the forum. Thanks, Kent.
Yeah.
Get on the forum. We have, I check that every day. And so if you ask a question on there, you won't just get, if you email, you're just going to get my question.
And we're still getting texted at least, I'd say twice a week, questions on prairie management stuff, like personally from friends.
Oh yeah.
So
friends, I'm going to start rejecting your texts.
So that tells me that we need to get more. Those questions need to get thrown on the forum, and so that we can have those.
Many questions, plural, every day. Riley's got stuff to do, so we will talk to you again next time.